In this example, I am going to explain how can you show your work and how can you use Statcrunch also. For example, if we want to study what is the proportion of the population of the United States citizens that agree in the way that the government is handling the coronavirus situation, then this is the population of all citizens in the United States. And suppose that this is the proportion that agree with the government. And this is P. We cannot go to the entire population. We are going to select a sample. And in this sample, we are going to compute my sample proportion. And suppose that we obtain my sample size, suppose that was 1,000 people. I selected 1,000 people in the United States randomly. Random selection. This is a representative sample of all citizens in the United States. And from all of this, suppose that 420 agree with the government. What is my sample proportion that agree with the government will be approximately 42%. The sample proportion will be 422 out of 1,000, which is 0.42. That is my sample proportion. This sample is good. We need to verify that NPQ is greater than 10. Actually, NPQ is equal 1,000 times P, 0.42, times Q, 0.58. When we multiply all of this value, we obtain 1,243.6, and this value is greater than 10. My sample size is also smaller than 5% of the population. We can use a normal distribution. Then the confidence interval is given by this formula, P hat plus or minus the error, and the error in this case is given by this formula, Z alpha hat square root P hat Q hat divided by N. The distribution of all sample proportion follow a normal distribution. The center is the true proportion. P hat is given by 0.42. Suppose that the confidence level to estimate this parameter should be 95%. 95% confidence level implies that we expect to select any sample located between these 2 points. We don't know what is this value, but we know that the distribution is normal, and we want to select one of these, any of these samples. Then if 95% is my confidence level, then this area on the tail should be 2.5% and this other 2.5%. The total is 100%. Then for 95% confidence level, we have alpha should be 5%, alpha half should be 2.5%. Then the corresponding critical values, these critical values, we can go to the table, and for the negative C-score table, we need to find this critical value. This is the critical value that we're going to use in this part of the formula. The area to the left of this critical value, this area to the left is 0.0250. That is the number that we need to find here, 0.0250. The corresponding C-score for this value is, in the negative C-score table, is negative 1.906. Then the C-score, the corresponding critical value for a 95 confidence level, should be 1.96. Then this is the value that we are going to use to substitute this quantity, and 1.96. And we have P hat, which is 0.42 times 0.58 divided by my sample size, which is 1,000, and this value is 0.42. When we do all of these calculations, we have that my error, all of this quantity, is equal 0.03059. Remember, if the problem requests that you must give the answer with 3 decimals, don't work in the middle of the problem with less than 5 decimals. Try to work with 4 decimals or more if you can, but you need to round at the end 3 decimal places. For that reason, we have to work here with 5 decimals. Then actually my confidence interval will be, when we subtract the error from 0.42, we will obtain 0.3894. And when we add the error to 0.42, we will obtain 0.45059. That is my confidence interval. I am 95% confident that the true proportion of citizens that agree with the government is between 38.9% and 45.1%. I am 90% confident that the true proportion is inside this interval. Then how can we use Statcrunch in this problem? In Statcrunch, we have to go to Stat. Let's go to proportion, and in proportion we can go to only one sample because we have only one sample, and in this case we have the summary. We don't have the data, the total data, we have the summary. Why the summary? Because I selected 1,000 people and I asked all of them, do you agree with the way that the government is handling the coronavirus situation? Then 420 of them said that they agree. How many times we asked the question? 1,000 times. We are going to use hypothesis test in the next chapter, but in this chapter we are going to use this one, confidence interval. Then compute, and we have our confidence interval. Can you see? 0.39, 0.3894, and 0.4505 is my confidence interval. It's very easy. It's very easy if you use Statcrunch. Remember, in the final test, you must show your work in the way that we did it at the beginning of this video. You must verify all of these answers given in Statcrunch manually using formulas and table. Also, you can use Statcrunch to show your work. The table in this case could be obtained from calculator. In calculator, you have to use normal, and in the normal distribution, you can find the critical value in the standard normal distribution using between, and the area between is 0.95%. When you compute this value, you will obtain exactly 1.96. Between negative 1.96 and positive 1.96, you have 95% of all samples. This is the way that you can use the table using Statcrunch. Actually, this is the same value that appears in the table.